Friends, cheers. How's it going? It is Tuesday, day 2, April 1st here. April Fools. And that's kind of what the market's doing to us right now. So, obviously, the market did better than I think a lot of us expected today. I got to be totally honest with you. I was expecting a little more bloodshed. And a lot of it may have came last week and Monday. But what we're seeing right now is tomorrow is the day. It is the tariff day. Whatever this is going to look like, is it going to be a phone call, email? When are we going to know something? We may not hear much, and the market may just go by noon. It may go like, oh, okay, well this isn't that big of a deal, and we may see it do better here going into Thursday. This V-shaped recovery that everyone's talking about, this may be happening. I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, but obviously that's what we all want. That's the fairy tale story we want here. The market's looking to go. Like, investors are wanting this to happen. They're wanting to go. The question is this the bottom? Is this the sell-off? Is this the restart here for the market? And we'll start moving off of this starting, tomorrow, Thursday. And now, I expect there to be some more sell-off tomorrow, tomorrow being the day. I expect people to start taking profit in the morning, and then we'll start to see a little bit of sell-off. And then by noon, I'm assuming we'll hear more. I'm sure Trump will be talking a lot tomorrow. We'll be hearing what's going on with the tariffs, the auto, everything. I'm sure he'll talk about the TikTok deal mixed in there with that. That's due Saturday, so I mean, as crazy as that sounds, but yeah, this is all what's going on right now. I want to talk about Inu Holdings. That is a digital banking provider platform. Now, obviously, I'm going to talk about SoFi too, but if you know me, I love SoFi. But this is another stock that a lot of people are buying, a lot of people are paying attention to, me included, because I do, when I buy a stock, when I buy into a company, there's plenty of bread and butter stocks that, I think, if you have a stock, portfolio, a lot of them you should buy. Is Pepsi a good stock to buy? Of course. No one's ever going to stop drinking Pepsi, for God's sakes. It's a household thing. It's just Pepsi. It's a boring stock. It's going to do what it does, and it's like Apple at this point. Even though Apple's killing it and they just had the biggest quarterly they've ever had, but still at this point, there's nothing more exciting that's going to happen. It's grown as much as it's going to grow at a fast rate, more than likely. But there's a lot of stocks that I look at, and this especially talking about tech in this situation. What is the future of a lot of these companies? What is the future of finances? And obviously, I talk about crypto a lot on TikTok. I really don't talk about it on YouTube because it's a different beast, and people don't want to hear me talk about crypto, and I get it, and I'm not going to. Inu Holdings here being another banking system, how they do things, their technology, their structure, what they go in, and honestly, this company is making a lot of money. They're making more money than SoFi. They are really doing well. Now the stock price, just a moment ago was a $14 stock here, 15 on a good day. And now we've had this bleed down to $10. So there's a lot of, you could say this is a really good deal for what's coming here. Now, this could be the year where I doubt it will be, but we could see this company move closer into a $4 billion quarterly year here. Now, obviously, they're going to have to really step it up here for that to happen, but undoubtedly, this is a growing company. This is a growing stock. This is a growing situation that people need to really pay attention to into the future of what's coming here. Because I really do think that, and obviously this is my theory, this is my mindset of what's coming here in the future. I think things like Inu Holdings here, SoFi, even Robinhood now throwing their hat in the bank here, which I think a lot of us saw. I mean, Robinhood was already essentially a bank in a lot of ways, but now they're just really becoming one. They're going to add the last steps to do that. But you're going to see more digital just banking, and there is a conversation to say like brick and mortar. What am I trying to say here? Brick and stone banks here. I'm trying to say, I can't talk right now. Too much coffee. They could disappear in the future. They may not be there because there's a reason why SoFi is growing so fast, because the digital 1, 2, 3 aspect of that company. I'm a customer of SoFi, and I'm the first one to tell you, like, I am loving SoFi. With getting back to Inu Holdings here, I think this is, along with SoFi, these small bank platforms that contribute to customers, loans, all that kind of stuff, they could become a very, very monstrous situation for other banks to have to put up with in the future. Q1 here for this company, Inu Holdings, is coming up in 42 days here. So obviously May is going to be the month of just week by week earnings. It's going to be a huge month, and more than likely, if we can get through this tariff stuff, we're going to see May could be what we were doing a month and a half ago in the market when we were rolling. We could potentially almost be there again in May. As crazy as that may sound, if we can get through this week and it looks like, hey, these tariffs, they actually weren't that big of a deal yet, the market may go like, okay, we're gonna run. And if we can get to that going into May, and we start to see a lot of these companies, these tech companies, banks, health companies, healthcare, the market could be rolling, man. I mean, it could just be like, we could like enter the starship again and be like, oh my God, here we go. So this is the time. This could be the last little bit of time for people to really dig in and build positions into companies. So this is why I think a lot of us have been buying. I know I say a lot of us. I know I've talked about this stock before. I know a lot of you said you were buying it. You've been buying it, and I have some friends that I know buy this stock, including me. Making positions in this. So it's an interesting play into the future. Okay, it's a very interesting play into the future. And just touching on Big Bear. So obviously, I swear I talk about Big Bear every day. I know. I want to address what's going on with Big Bear. So obviously, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you guys know that Big Bear here has been going through this mess with this financial stuff, misreporting here in the financial sector. Okay, from that, about 3 weeks ago when that came out, 3 weeks, it's been, every article every day has been, call this number if you were affected by this with Big Bear and you want a lawyer, attorney at this point. So today, finally, I saw like a couple of semi-positive articles with Big Bear. And are articles important? No. Should you invest in a company based off an article? No. But it does tell you a little bit of the zeitgeist of what's going on with that kind of stock, where thoughts are, because there are people that look at that stuff and they will buy stocks based off of that, which if you do, that's fine, but you should probably do a little more deeper research. Now, one article that I did like here with Big Bear, I took it right here and I took one little thing from it, and it said this: revenue for the quarter was $43.8 million, the last one, below market expectations, which we knew that was going to happen before that quarterly, the last one even came out. I was even preaching on here like, hey, it's not going to hit. It's not going to do what it's supposed to do. It came out. Sure enough, it wasn't. Okay. So there should have been no one shocked. Of course, there's people like, oh, God. Then projected 2025 revenue between, like we've been saying, 160 to 180, possibly 190. Now, 160, that's locked in, guaranteed. As of right now, with what we know with these deals, and like I've said, this, I'm not trying to be mean, but this is the God's honest truth, and you are lying if you don't admit this. The only reason people, all of us, and me included, that we are still paying attention to Big Bear and drooling over it, is these government contracts. Now, like I said, I'm sounding like a broken record, but it's the God's honest truth. Because if Big Bear if it didn't get these multiple government contracts, I wouldn't be spending my time with it. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. So with that, we could see more compounding with their already deals, already revenue that was supposed to be there this year. And there is that lingering thing that they could get another deal here anytime soon, which would just immediately be very, very good. It would be just that extra cushion that investors would like to see. So I think probably this year they're probably going to be somewhere in between 160 to 170, maybe 175 million, because of the deals so far. Now, obviously, we're very early into the year. It's April 1st. And there's plenty of room for them to get some kind of, other big deal. And they've probably already gotten more deals that we just don't know about, but they're just not like these huge, government contract deals where it's like, 13 million, 0.2, spread out over 3.5 years, something. It's just like hey, with this company, we got a deal for, $1 million. They most likely they're not going to report. It's not going to be reported in an article, but that still nonetheless is revenue coming in here to push up what's going on. So to me, it's still a wild card that something big could happen here, okay? And that's why investors are still looking at Big Bear. This is not for the faint of heart to be a part of this right now. If you don't have it, listen, I literally had this conversation with someone today. A buddy of mine contacted me. He said, what stocks should I be in? Is there any stocks that could really change my life, a year from now? And, he said, what about that Big Bear stock you talk about? And I told him, I was like, listen, with you being new to the market, I would, I told him, I was like, I would just buy ETFs right now if I were you, or some kind of dependable individual stock, maybe something like a Nvidia, a boring bank's Apple, something boring, Pepsi, just something like that. But when it comes to Big Bear, it's still a wild card. There's no guarantees. Listen, Big Bear it's in a huge fight right now. With this negative news that keeps cycling every day, it undoubtedly is a hot topic right now, especially people that are just finding out about Big Bear. They're like, what is this? What is this financial problem? Lawsuit, attorneys, lawyers, what is this? And it undoubtedly will scare people. But Big Bear right now is fighting to get back in this $3 range, which I think is, I think it shows the strength of where Big Bear is in investors, because there's no reason why Big Bear couldn't sell back off right now to a low $2 range. There's no reason it couldn't, because the last quarterly was poo. They're dealing with this negative news, and where the market is right now with this uncertainty, as of right now, investors, they don't have to hold this. They can sell off Big Bear easily. So when I look at Big Bear, I go I think everyone's on the same mindset with Big Bear. We're all on the same the same thought process as they could get another deal, a big deal. The stock market could turn around here, and the stock could just organically run back up maybe to a $4 and some change range. That would be amazing for a lot of people. And still, there's a lot of wiggle room. It's still a very lively stock, so there's still a lot of day trading, short-term trading going on in Big Bear, where people are just trading back and forth. It's still a very lively little stock right now. So, there's a lot of things to look at with Big Bear right now, friends. I think it's a very interesting stock, and it's one of with the price tag on Big Bear right now. I think it is one of the biggest scratch off tickets in the market right now, where it could really do something here this year. But it's a day by day waiting situation. Now, obviously, with this bad news, I hope it doesn't get worse. It's obvious, I know we don't want bad news with stocks, especially stocks that are already on the struggle bus, to have bad news here. So listen, if you're going to be a part of this thing with Big Bear, it's going to be rough. I said this 4 or 5 months ago. I said, if you're going to be a part of this, it's going to be very volatile. It's going to be rough. And I know it is, because, I see the comments, I see the conversation going on in chat rooms. People are going after each other with this stock. It is very back and forth. So, if the market straightens out this week and Big Bear can just run on enthusiasm with the market and can get back into a $3, $3.40 range, people will be happy again. But I don't know what's coming tomorrow in the market. We just don't know. So looking at SoFi had a really good day. I thought SoFi was going to sell down to a low 11, high $10 range here. I was kind of counting on it. No. But SoFi held its ground today, man. It even ran up to over $12. This is pretty impressive with where SoFi was going. So, I talked about Inu Holdings, okay, obviously, but SoFi, to me, where SoFi's at has a lot more, a lot more conversation, a lot more pillars to be made to stand on here when it comes to the thought process and conversation of SoFi could be a really, really gold nugget in your pocket later in the years here, to where we could be talking about a bank company that has become a fierce lion in the banking system, and undoubtedly becomes a predator because of these loan deals that they're getting, these deals in general that they're getting, the amount of customer bases they're getting that are starting accounts, savings accounts, credit cards, the younger generation just attached to it. So I've preached all that. It's in the data. SoFi in May, obviously too, will be coming out with quarterlies, and this could be the moment where SoFi produces $1 billion quarterly. A lot of people think that at this point, and I wouldn't be shocked to see this with what we've seen so far with this huge compounding in deals and what's been going on with SoFi executing quarterlies at such a high range, growing at such a fast rate, that SoFi could produce over $1 billion quarterly, a billion and some change here. I think that's probably possible. So, SoFi, you know how I feel about it. Obviously people are upset, and this is, man, I'm not new to SoFi here. So when somebody says something negative about SoFi, I get it. I don't look at this and go like, that's just me. No, I get it. Like, listen, I was here buying SoFi when it was $4 or $5, okay? And SoFi has been a creature of habit. Even when SoFi comes out with this like groundbreaking news, people get excited, they're happy, and then SoFi does what SoFi always does. People get bored, they sell it, and then it runs back up with quarterlies, comes out with great quarterlies, people get all excited again, and then we see SoFi do the same thing. But it always in that, in those runs, it usually will find a new bottom. And I think we've found the bottom around this high 10, middle $11 range. At least we hope. So SoFi, undoubtedly, it's growing very aggressive right now. It's growing very aggressive. But SoFi, unlike these other tech stocks, to a lot of investors, it's just not cool enough. It's not sleek, sexy enough. It's just, I think most people would probably rather invest in a tech stock than SoFi. And I get that, there's plenty of tech stocks that I invest in, but SoFi is the future of banking, and they are producing the quarterlies, they are producing the customers, they are producing the growth in deals and the momentum to be, like I said, a fierce competitor in the future in the banking system. So that's why I am drinking the juice on SoFi, and I don't mind admitting that. I know SoFi is not moving fast in the sense of what, on a, aggressive move set that, people are looking for. SoFi's been a pretty boring stock the past few years. I mean, and I say that loving SoFi. I love SoFi. I'm a heavy investor in it, but I get it. I see it. I fully admit it. So, friends, I'm going to shut up. Tomorrow's the day. I wish all of us the best of luck, and I'm excited. I have a good feeling about what's going to happen here. I really do. Whatever happens, I'm excited to be a part of the market, and it's an opportunity that we all get to be a part of this. So we'll see what happens. Friends, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.